Hello, this is Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome. I am talking to Dr. Karen LoMax, and she is now in chaplain school, so we are privileged to visit with her while she's at Fort Jackson, my old stomping grounds when I went to basic training myself. So, Dr. Karen, I know we were talking off air and everything about you getting to chaplain school, but before that, tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are.
Oh, wow. A little bit about myself. Well, I'm 46. I'm a mother of 2 adult children. Thank you, Jesus. Alexis and Jonathan. My daughter models. And my son right now is in Fort Gordon. He's in the military as well.
I was also at Gordon. I was in signal school there for part of one of my little MOSs there. I was in Victor School.
That's where he is. Now it's the U. It's 25 uniform now.
Woo!
So yes. So he's there. He's graduating on September the 11th. Super proud mom there. I am a 3-time best-selling author. I do have some books out there, so y'all go to Amazon. Have some books. I had to slide that in. Have some books out there. Have a personal ministry, Karen LoMax Ministries. You can find me online. I'm also the associate pastor at Atmosphere of Faith Christian Church in Vista, California. I'm also a small business owner. I have H.E.R.R.S, LLC, which is a life coaching business that I started in the midst of my divorce.
Wow.
God did that. And so H.E.R.R stands for Healing, Empowering, Restoring, Reorganizing, and Supporting. I started that, and I also have get this, y'all, I know it's going to sound strange, but when you're dealing with God, He works and deals in the strange. I have a men's outreach, and it's called H.E.R.R.S, Healing, Inspiring, and Supporting, and it's for men. And it's mentoring and coaching and counseling and things of that nature for men. So I have all these things and all these pieces going on. And it started out as a crazy journey. It started out as I didn't want to do it type journey, traumatic. And then it just kind of, once I got over me, you know what I mean? Because I had to remove myself and my feelings out of the picture so God could really do what He was trying to do in my life all along, and that's how I got to this place. I wasn't thinking about, a chaplain. I wasn't thinking about those things. I was going down other avenues, and God interrupted my plan so He can get along with my purpose.
You mentioned purpose, and then your plan. Now, you had first started to want to be a profiler. And that's a whole different journey, which is actually, you are now just a profiler for God. That's really what your mission is. So you're really using the same skill set so you can help a different way.
Yes. Because I was like, okay, I got all these fancy degrees. What am I supposed to do with that, in ministry and as a chaplain? But all of that comes in handy when you are providing that religious support for soldiers, and not just soldiers, but for military personnel. Period. Because I don't just counsel soldiers. I counsel Marines. I counsel sailors. I counsel airmen because I am part of all of that. My sister is retired out of the Air Force. My dad is retired out of the Marine Corps. My brother is retired out of the Navy. So, somebody had to take the Army and make it do what it did.
So now that you went from one to this, I want to talk about listening to God's Word. Because at one time, you was not hearing Him. And I have to say the same thing. I didn't hear anything He had to say to me because I was in my own way. And for us to get out of our way and to finally hear Him, what was that like for you?
For me, I heard Him, but I wasn't listening. Because I felt at that moment when I was going through that transition, because I don't really like to call it a divorce, but that transition in my life, I felt like He was ruining my life. I felt like upside down so he could get to the thing that was hidden underneath and bring all of this stuff to the surface so we could deal with it so it wouldn't interfere with the purpose and the plan that he had for my life all along.
I hear you. You know, Dr. Karen, most people say, well, Dr. Paul, how did you get to where you are now? And I would just say, from my own personal story that I had, was that I lived through PTSD, or I'm a survivor. I don't know how you want to put it, but it had to turn me upside down so it could get to my purpose in life. And it's kind of like really what it's doing to you too.
Yes. I take it as like redecorating. Like redecorating your home or re-renovating. You got to tear stuff up. You got to move stuff out of its place, its original place, in order to do something new. And so with us, we get so used to things being the way they are, and God says, okay, it's time for a shift. It's time for a transition. It's time to renovate your life. And in order to do that, I got to move things out of its original place so I can put things in the way, in a way that I need them to be, that's going to be conducive to the plan that I have for you, to the purpose that I have for you. And you have to come to terms with, as I did, it wasn't even about me. None of the struggle, none of the challenge was not even about me, but it was about the people that he had way up ahead that I was going to come in contact with and engage in doing my life coaching and doing my ministry and doing this chaplaincy. That was what it was all about. It was never about me.
So, Dr. Karen, let me ask you this, and this is pretty much talking to, and from what I like to do on Bridges Live, I like to get people from here to there. Most people think they hear things and not understand it. Most people think they can understand it, but they don't put it into an action. So, what I want to ask a direct question is, how do you think people can start listening to God so they can start putting their life into an understanding and then they can apply to an action?
Number one of the first things they have to do is realize, and you have to realize that you don't know everything. That's the first thing. Is I came to the conclusion that I didn't know nothing. Period. I thought I did, but on this side of it, I knew absolutely nothing. And so, number one, you have to really come to grips with you don't have a clue. You have to come to grips with that you don't have a clue, because God can't talk to somebody and you won't be able to hear him if you think you already got this thing figured out.
It's too much noise.
It's way too much. And the loudest noise is self. Self is the loudest noise ever. So you have to quiet yourself. You have to get to a point to where you say, okay, I got to stop listening to everybody else, including myself. And I need to sit down, and I really need to get in tune with God. I need to really get in tune with the Spirit and see what he's saying to me, not what he's saying to somebody else to say to me, because there's a direct connection. And when you get that third party in the middle, sometimes things can get, misconstrued, can get mixed up, and you will be going, you'll be zigging when he said, no, I need you to zag. That's what you got to do. Number one is get somewhere and quiet yourself. Get quiet.
So, Dr. Karen, here's the thing. I know I have gotten question on myself is where do I get that quiet space? How do I know I'm in that quiet space, and how do I know I'm listening to him?
Right. In order to get to that quiet space, this is the thing that a lot of people don't like to do. It's hard and it's tough. In order to get to that quiet space, sometimes you got to let some people exit your life. Sometimes you got to let certain people exit your life, and you have to take control. Number one, you got to take control of a space in order to create a quiet space for you, and that includes boundaries. You got to set up boundaries. You got to be able to tell people, you know what, I've taken into consideration with what you're saying, but it's just not, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right. And you're going to know when it's him talking to you, because 9 times out of going to cause you to have to come to him in order to get the courage, in order to get the strength, and to get the vision to move in the direction he wants you to move.
You know, that is a hard thing for people to get, is to get into that space, to clear out the noise, so they can get into that quiet time and get, you know, and I've taught meditation for years, and people still struggling with meditation, they think it's more relaxation. I said, no, it's slowing down and clearing. It's a complete different mindset to it. So now that you know, with us and soldiers, being a soldier, ex-soldier, you're with people and just people struggling in these traumatic times, right?
Yeah.
Where do you, is it always meet them where they're at, or do you try to bring them to where they can be?
Number one, you always have to meet people where they are. You meet them where they are, so you know where you can take them to. And you know at the pace you need to go in order to move them to where they need to be. And then you ask them, do they know where they need to be? And because you can't tell them, because it'd be so easy to manipulate and say, well, I feel, or I see you doing this, and I can see you doing that. But the whole thing is, you can see them doing it, but until they can see them doing it, you're just creating an impossible situation for them, and it also creates a hindrance, and it creates an obstacle. So you have to meet them where they are, and you walk alongside. You don't get behind them and say, okay, we're going this way. No, you have to walk alongside until you can figure out exactly where they are and exactly where they feel they need to be, in the direction they need to know. And if they don't know, you don't move them.
You know, I want
to take more harm.
I'm going to take a little break here. I'm going to take people and say, well, first you listen to Dr. Paul, and you're listening to Bridges Live, and you know Bridges Live is every Monday, and this is a recording conversation that you people are going to be listening to, and we're going to always keep this, and we're talking to Dr. Karen LoMax. Right now, Dr. Karen is at Fort Jackson going through her chaplain school. Now, both stomping grounds for both of us and being there, but now you're on a different mission. Do you believe that there's a mission out there for you, or you're on the right path where you're going?
Oh, most definitely. I'm on the right path, but this path that I'm on is part of the bigger picture. It's part of the journey that's leading to the bigger mission. Now, what the bigger mission is, God has not revealed that yet, thankfully, because sometimes if He reveals something to us too fast, we'll tend to try to take over how we're going to go through the journey, and where we're going to go through the journey, and we try to take over the entire journey. And God wants to move us in the direction that He wants to move us, at the pace that He wants to move us.
It's that ego thing, you know. We've written about. I know I've written about that ego. It is tremendous.
Oh, self. Oh my gosh. I tell anybody, if you can get over you, you're good.
And that's
if you can just get over yourself, you are on the right path. I mean, self is such a obstacle. Self is such a hindrance. Self is such it's a chain that really holds you, and it keeps you bound, because we get so full of ourselves sometimes, and then we get complacent with ourselves, and with the whole, well, this is just me, and this is how I am, and and this, that, and the other, and we'll stay there for years and years thinking that we're actually moving, and we have not moved.
So with presumptions and speculation, and we do that with ourselves, and it's so easy, because I think now we condition to assume and to speculate on someone else's position. So then we turn those words onto ourselves, and we don't even know we're doing negative speak to ourselves. I was talking about this earlier. What are some of those negative words that you have found that people constantly say that they don't even know it's negative, or phrases?
I think one of the biggest ones that I always hear from other people is and I just talked about this on one of my lives, and I know some people are going to disagree, but it's okay. What's for me is for me. They don't understand how that can be a negative thing that keeps you stuck, because you will get so complacent with saying, well, what's for me is for me, and you won't move and you won't take action on the vision that God has shown you, because now you're sitting back waiting for God to just drop what's for you in your lap, and he's not going to do that. He's like, yes, I have what is for you, but I need you to start moving so I can give it to you. And so that's a negative thing people say, and they don't understand that it's negative. That's one of the negative things.
That's one.
What's for me is for me.
Wow, that is powerful, because I've heard those phrases before, and for me, sometimes I'm too analytical, but when I hear words, I'm like, how does that work across the board? And sometimes on a scientific level, if you cannot apply it to another action of speak, then I don't think it works.
Right. And it doesn't, because even with that little phrase saying, well, what's for me is for me. Well, part of that, the struggle in your life, some of that could be for you. And you don't even understand that you're saying, well, what's for me is for me. And that's that piece of struggle that you don't want to get over and you don't want to tackle and take care of. That's part of your what's for me. And it keeps people stuck. They get so complacent. And dare I say, they get lazy. And they're just like, hey, whatever God has for me, can't nobody get it? No, not even you, because you're not taking any action. He can't pour anything. He can't put something into nothing. You have to begin to move. And when you move, he'll move. And when he sees you moving, then you'll start to see the thing that he does have for you. But if you're just not going to move because you just automatically think, well, it's for me, but I want what's for me. So I'm going after what's for me, because that's what he tells us to do. Go after it.
Is the world conditioning our minds to be lazy?
Oh my gosh, yes. It really is. Everything. I mean, now you can start your car, start your TV, open your garage with your cell phone. You don't even have to get up. And now we got the self-driving cars, and it really is conditioning us to be lazy. It's making everything too simple to where we don't have to put any work into anything anymore. Now, even with social media, and I've been guilty of it myself, I can get on social media and have a conversation with somebody instead of just pick up the phone and calling them. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And so we've gotten so lazy. If I lost my phone right now, I probably would be able to call 911 and nobody else, because I don't have those numbers in my memory. They're all in my phone.
Now, I know for me, it's like I used to carry my own personal burden and cross. I used to feel like I had to go struggle and suffer through things before I gained that enlightenment, before I gained that purpose. I kind of knew my purpose, but let me struggle through this because I had to feel this suffering and go through this type of empowerment. Well, that's just not true.
It's not.
How do you talk to that person, even like myself, who said, I thought I had to struggle through this before I found glory?
And those are the people that God has sent me to, which my title is AKA the Empowerment Engineer. And I always tell people, God does not want you to struggle. Things in your life may have happened and caused you to struggle, but he does not want you to struggle. He didn't orchestrate the struggle. He said that he wanted you to live life and live it more abundantly, not live it more miserably. You know what I'm saying? Not live it more miserably. It's a mindset. And the thing about it is, not only is it a mindset, it's a learned mindset,
right,
passed down.
Right.
It's people struggle. We feel like, they struggled, and I hear it. I hear from parents with their kids and say, well, I had to struggle and do this and when I was going to school and doing that. And I'm like, but you don't have to do that anymore. That's because of the time and the context that, money wasn't available. But money available. Your child doesn't have to struggle. You don't have to struggle. There's things out there now, but we get so conditioned, we get so used to it that it has become a part of who we are, and it goes back to the complacency thing. Why should I change? It's always in this way.
You know, you used the word transition when you were going through that time period in your life. And I know I used the word enlightenment and journey. And for people who see their lives as a circumstances that they have to get over, what is some of those things that because I don't believe life should be getting over. I believe life should be going through. And that's the living part of life. But people think that they have to climb over something to get to something.
No, you don't. It's a trend, and the reason why I call it a transition is because you go through it. I didn't get over it. I didn't get over it. I had to go through it, and the reason why a lot of people don't want to go through it is because it's going to hurt a little bit. It's going to cause you to change some things in your life, and we get so used to how things are that we don't want to let go, and we're afraid. The biggest thing is fear, because you don't know what's on the other side of the transition, and nobody likes the word process, and it is a process. But going through it is going to help you deal with the different stages of that process. Going over it, you're going to skip the process, and when you get into different situations and circumstances and relationships, well, those things that you just skip over are going to show up, and you're not going to know how to deal with them because you didn't take the time to go through the process in dealing with them by yourself before you got with someone else or into, something else.
And for me, if the way I like to explain it to people, I like to say it's the rebirth, and that's why when you're born through it. You're not born over it. You're born through the transition. The journey is to bring you from the creation, from the creator to now into your journey. So that's one of those pieces.
It's like the stages of a butterfly.
Yes.
The caterpillar turning into a butterfly. It's painful.
Yeah.
He has to go in there, and everything inside of him gets turned inside out.
I know.
But he goes through that, and then when he comes out, and I like because I've watched this on television, and I preached on it, and I like the fact that when the butterfly comes out of the cocoon, it comes out backwards. It comes out backwards, and it can see the journey that it went through. It can see everything that it went through, so it doesn't forget that, and it's empowering because it's like, wow, I went through that mess. I went through that heartache. I went through all of that pain of my life, and me literally being turned inside out to create something beautiful.
With your ministry that you have going on now, and you have the women's, you have the men's, you have your books, and I want you to mention the books, or what's the name of your books, and where can they get on Amazon? Well, I guess the name, they can get on Amazon.com, but what's the name of the books?
And it can be for any leader, but I wrote a book called Leading to Lead, Good to Great Principles, and it has an accompanying journal that goes with it, but it's on all 66 books of the Bible, and it's a leadership principle, and it's an illustration of that principle, and you can get that on Amazon. I co-authored a book called Passion Unleashed, Bring Your Best Self to God. That's a book of testimonies and things that God had to allow to happen in our lives in order to get the best out of us. And I also co-authored a book called Resurrected Angels with an outreach ministry that I am a part of in St. Louis, Missouri. And that's on Amazon, and it's just personal testimonies. And that's there. And you get those on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Books A Million. You can get them there. And then I have 2 workbooks, one called Happiness 101, how to bring more joy into your life, and Loving Yourself, those that you have to get personally through me, because they're like workshop workbooks, but you can get them through me, or you can go on my website on H.E.R.R.S, HERRSLLC.biz.
Could you spell out the website?
It's HERRSLLC.biz, B-I-Z.
Awesome. So if someone wanted to get in contact you, can they just go to the website and they can just email you and contact you through there?
They can contact me through my website. They can also contact me on the H.E.R.R.S Professional Life Coaching business page on Facebook, or they can contact me on H.E.R.R.S LLC on Instagram.
Now, with your life coaching network, do you have a network of coaches throughout the country that you guys all can join together and speaking on the same thing? How does that coaching network work?
My coaching network that I have is it's like a life coaching academy that I have that you can find information on the website, and I do it every year around October, and so I have 5 coaches that went through that program. And what I do is I just give them the information. I make sure they know what they're talking about, and I certify them and give them their credentials. And then they go along and they start their own coaching practices. But yes, we all keep in contact. And they still have access to me for advice and coaching tips and things of that nature.
What's some of the toughest things you think you're running into now with what people are going through or struggling with? What's something that keeps popping up for you?
Oh, goodness. The thing that keeps popping up for me right now with a lot of people is they keep doubting themselves. They keep questioning whether this is their purpose. And then a lot of them are like, well, I don't know my purpose. And that's one of the biggest things that I'm running into right now is people are afraid to step out after they find out what their purpose is. And then there's the other group that just says, I have no clue what my purpose is.
You know, and that goes back to what we were talking about before, is that once you clear the noise, once you release all the background noise and the noises from yourself, you will understand where you are and where you really are meant to be.
Yes, because I always tell them, I cannot, even as a life coach, pastor, preacher, teacher, I cannot, and no one else can tell you what your purpose is. Only God can do that. We cannot. I don't care how much money you pay me. I can't tell you what your purpose is. I can journey with you through the discovery, but I can't tell you what it is.
And I think that's probably one of the most greatest struggles the humans have is one, getting through that ego and getting out of our own way.
Yes. Oh, the ego.
Well, Dr. Karen, before we take off here, what would you like to say to the Bridges Live community?
I would like to say to them that you do have a purpose, number one. That's something I want everybody to know. Even if you don't know what it is, or even if you are still struggling trying to find it, you have one because you're still here. Mm-hmm. And don't allow other people to try to shape and form your purpose because of their agenda. Make sure that you stay in tune with God and stay in tune with how He is working in your life in order to identify what your purpose is, and then you allow Him to give you the vision for that purpose. But everyone has a purpose, so I just wanted to encourage somebody that may be feeling like they don't know what they're here for, or they feel like they're not here for nothing. You are here for something. It's just sitting down, clearing out all the noise, and as we call it, and allowing God to show you what your purpose is. He'll show you, but you got to stop and you got to listen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karen LoMax. This is Dr. Paul. You listen to Bridges Live every Monday here on my channel. You can always catch me on Weekly Wednesday or Dr. Paul Weekly Podcast. But today was a blessing. Today was a gift, and it's always a gift when we can connect and communicate with each other and to listen to people who have that blessing that God has given them, so we can listen to ourselves, so we can get our own way. Thank you so much, Dr. Karen.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Well,